Grid Legends is finally here, which is insane considering that we've had no new racing games from Codemasters in years. The last one to come to macOS was Dirt 4, for God's sake. And to make matters worse, most Codemasters games can't even be purchased anymore, including F1 2017. But here we are. Grid Legends was released just a few days ago, on December 12th, and we can finally answer the big questions. Is this a good macOS port, and can your Mac run it? Hi everyone, I'm Matthew, and welcome to Mac Gamer HQ. Now let's get it out of the way. This is a good port from Feral Interactive, a studio who has been working on macOS ports for decades, and it definitely shows. I think it's safe to say that Feral is now one of the most experienced porting companies on the planet. As long as you have an Apple Silicon Mac, you'll be able to run this game. The system requirements are straightforward. You'll need macOS 13.3 or later, and a Mac with an Apple M1 chip or later, and 36 gig of available disk space. And that's all we get in terms of system requirements. As long as you have an Apple Silicon Mac, it's fair play. Official system requirements are one thing, but real-world results can be an entirely different story. But thankfully, the good news continues. We ran the in-game benchmark suite on both a 2020 M1 MacBook Air and an M1 Pro MacBook Pro, and in both cases the game ran smoothly. We ran the game using a combination of different resolutions, 1920 by 1200 and 1440 by 900, and settings, low, medium and high, to see how both Macs performed under different conditions. Overall, we always saw 30 plus FPS, which is the minimum you want to ensure fluid gameplay. But in most cases we actually saw 40 plus FPS, which is particularly impressive on the base 2020 M1 MacBook Air. The game also features Mental FX, which should improve frames per second even further. But it has to be said, performance on the M1 MacBook Air was quite impressive. This machine from 2020, or almost 4 years ago, only has 8 GB of RAM and is officially the weakest M1 machine ever released. In spite of its age, price and modest specs, it can run Grid Legends just fine, provided you're willing to run the game on medium settings. This is a very impressive feat. Kudos to Feral for making that happen and doing what it takes to not leave any M1 gamers behind. As can be expected from an M1 MacBook Air, officially the oldest and weakest M1 machine available, you won't be able to run this game at maximum resolution settings. However, the game runs great if you're willing to run it at a more modest 1440 by 900 resolution. With that resolution and medium settings, the game runs at nearly 50 frames per second, 48.49 to be precise, which is more than enough to enjoy the game without compromising performance. You can of course push the envelope a little and either increase the resolution or settings, or both. At 1200p and medium settings, the game still runs at 40.67 frames per second, which is more than acceptable. Overall, we only have good things to say about this port. The only complaint here is the lack of crossplay and proper multiplayer support. Maybe this will be added in the future if and when the macOS version is also released on Steam. In the meantime, if you want to play this game on macOS, you can only get it on the Mac App Store for $39.99. Keep in mind that this is the deluxe edition and includes all available DLC, which makes it a pretty good deal in our opinion. Also, if you're into AAA macOS games, make sure you don't miss Resident Evil Village. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you have a great day.
Honestly, I don't think there's any way Ado could ignore your performance today. I've got a feeling you'll be having some very interesting discussions. Congratulations.